I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to share with you my favorite way to eat kale. This is my garlic spicy kale. I absolutely love it. It takes just a couple of ingredients, basic ingredients you might already have on hand, but I figured I'd share this recipe with you because that is what I'm making to go for dinner tonight, and I think it's absolutely delicious. So the star ingredient is going to be some kale. Ideally, you'd want to buy Tuscan kale, but it's kind of hard to find in my local supermarket, so I just buy regular kale. I strip the leaves off and I cut them into like bite-sized pieces, nice large pieces. You'll need a good pinch of hot pepper flakes, a lemon, salt and pepper, garlic, olive oil, and this. These are anchovies. Now these are not packed in salt, these are packed in oil. Before you leave the room screaming and crying that I'm using anchovies, you must trust me when I tell you that when you're using, especially a good quality anchovy, when you saute it, it melts, leaving behind a steep, salty, incredible flavor that doesn't taste anything like fish whatsoever. I have converted people like you wouldn't believe because they didn't think they ever would eat anchovies. I've made it in sauces so many times and they love it. This gives your kale incredible flavor. And the reason why I'm doing this, I'm just going to chop up some garlic. I got quite a few cloves of garlic here. And I also have a skillet with high sides with some olive oil in there preheating. The reason why I'm making my kale this way is because my mom makes escarole or cabbage this way. So I started thinking, why can't I do it with kale? Did it, tried it, loved it, haven't looked back. It's really simple. I mean, all you're doing is using some garlic and hot pepper flakes and some olive oil, salt and pepper, but I'm using a lot of garlic here because I want that intense, almost spicy-like flavor of the garlic. I'm just going to saute it in some olive oil over about medium heat. But the anchovies add such a lovely depth of salty flavors in the background, and it just goes together with the kale really, really well. It adds amazing aroma. It's like salty. I can't describe it. You just must try it. It doesn't taste like anything like salt, but of course you can leave it out if you want to. I just think it's absolutely delicious. I'm going to let the garlic cook for just a couple of minutes or until it starts to become really, really fragrant and the oil comes to temperature, because I'm cooking the garlic, I started with the oil was kind of cool so that the oil would infuse in garlic flavor. So that's going to be so good. Going to add my hot pepper flakes and a couple fillets of anchovies. I bought these in an Italian deli. These are going to be, there you go. Just a couple. They're going to melt. They're going to get rid of any of the fishy flavor. They won't taste anything like fish. That's what I meant to say earlier. It's just going to taste really nice and salty, but it's not going to be so salty that it's overwhelming. It's just going to be on a different level, a deeper level. You're going to have to just trust me on this. Very, very good. Very traditional Italian cooking too. And if you wanted to, you could add some kalamata olives to this or some Italian black olives. It would be delicious. Lovely. That's exactly what I want. I'm now just going to add my kale that I've washed. Turn the heat down a bit for now. This is going to shrink a bit, don't worry. It looks like it's a lot now, but it's going to shrink. Now what I'm going to do, cover this for just a few minutes or until it kind of it kind of wilts a bit so that I can really toss it in that flavored oil. I've turned it down to low for just a few minutes and then we'll give it a nice toss. Awesome. That's just easier so that I can get in there and coat every leaf in that fantastic flavorful oil. Now what I'm going to do is put the lid back on and I'm going to let this cook for about 6 or 7 minutes. What I don't want is for this kale to be cooked so much that it completely disintegrates. I want texture. I want it to still be nice and bright and green, and I'm going to cover this so that it kind of helps cook a bit faster. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. My kale's been cooking for about 6 minutes, I'd say, and it's exactly how I want it. Still got great color, great texture. What I'm going to do now is season it with some salt and pepper. Now you want to taste it before you season it with salt. Depending on how salty your anchovies are, you might not even need to add any, but I've already tasted it and I know that a little bit is needed. And then I'm going to top it off with a little bit of lemon zest just for a little bit of brightness. It goes really well against the spiciness from the hot pepper flakes and the saltiness from the anchovies. Now I don't want you to think that when I keep saying the word salty, 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 I don't mean that it's going to be overwhelming and you can't even taste anything else. What I mean is that sort of briny, salty, naturally salty anchovy is just perfect when you melt it into anything. It just really enhances the flavor of salt, but in a different way. I feel like a broken record. You're gonna have to give this a try just so that you can understand what I mean. I'm gonna put it right into that bowl. The garlic is like little nuggets of deliciousness, like sprinkles. I'm just gonna give myself a tiny little bit because I am serving this with dinner and I don't want to be rude and eat the entire bowl before anybody else gets a chance to eat any. Don't ask me how I know that from experience. So incredibly lovely. I'm gonna go for it in a little bit more. It's their fault they're not here on time. It's absolutely delicious. One of my favorite, if not my ultimate favorite way to eat kale. It's, hey, full of flavor, total deliciousness. I hope you enjoyed spending time with me. LauraInthekitchen.com has a recipe waiting for you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.